Wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture? I'm Michael Bain. Welcome to Triggered. As always, coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains and Dragon House Studios, brought to you this week by Stoeger and their line of STR 9mm. And what's wrong with this picture is that semi-automatic AR isn't a semi-auto. I was lucky enough to spend last weekend at the Whittington Center at the Lucid Ballistics Summit. Now, we've been going to Lucid Optics special event for years because Jason Wilson brings in really neat people. He brings in a bunch of journalists, but he also brings in really neat companies that are doing some innovative things. And the person here is Jeremy Burr. He is the general manager of Bilson Arms. Now, you saw Bilson Arms last year with their innovative articulating AR-15 stock. This year they bought a real doozy, a front charging AR. Now, we're used to the charging handles in the rear, right? So we have to manipulate the charging handles, drop them. If there's a jam, we have to somehow come back and work the charging handles. Sometimes we put a bolt on the side. But what happens if we move the charging handle forward like a pump grip? All of a sudden, everything gets a little easier. But one thing that struck me is it also allowed Bilson to build a pump AR. Why would you want a pump AR? Well, if you're a traveling hunter, you want to go to, say, Africa, you want to go to New Zealand, you want to go to Canada, you know what you can't take with you? Your AR. You cannot bring semi-autos into a lot of countries. However, you've got your AR lower. It's got a $300 trigger in it. It's got a $250 stock that you think is just perfect. Perfect pistol grip. What if you could just put an upper on there that was a pump? Well, you can now, and by the way, Jeremy and I talked, we're going to be building up a very special pump action AR. You'll see that later in the year on Triggered. I asked Rob Pincus to demonstrate and show you guys exactly what Bilson was trying to accomplish with this forward charger.
All right, so pump AR, check this out. So you're shooting, and normally if I get it's not shooting and I try to do the reload and it doesn't work because it's actually the double feed and I have to go through the process, I need to take my hand back here and run the charging handle and do the things we do. With this sucker, what I can actually do is strip the mag out and then pull back this way and not have to worry about coming off. Make sure this is clear, run that, find my next mag, come back up and in, and again run that, and then I'm back in the game. So the advantage of the pump with a semi-auto function instead of a traditional charging handle is that my weak hand is going to stay out here and pull back. I won't have to do that maneuver where we do the charging handle, reach under, lock, then come back here to clear it. So I can just run it back here, hold it with pressure, and come in and clear it, which is going to be a lot faster. Now there's a learning curve, obviously, but it's an interesting idea. Charging handle side levers we like because it keeps us from having to come back here and come off the gun. So this is even better than that in that I don't have to come off the gun from where I normally keep the support hand. Definitely something cool to check out and experiment more with from Bilson Arms.
Thanks, Rob, and congratulations on the success of the PD-10. We'll be talking to Rob a little bit later in the show. But when we come back, instead of seeing red, we're going to see blue. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Taurus USA. Always ready, always bring it. Stoeger, everyday tough. SDS Imports, Thesis. Thesis means quality. Hunter's HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. And MTM Case Guard. Quality shooting sports accessories. Welcome back to Triggered. You've seen this rifle before because it's one of my favorite rifles of the last year. It's a Ruger small frame AR, 308 7.62 lightweight rifle, fitted with a 4X Lucid Optics P8. This has a blue reticle, and it is an excellent reticle. And blue, as a color, has a huge advantage for optics. And Jason Wilson and Lucid Optics have made a commitment to really push that forward, including a reflex sight, a closed emitter reflex sight that you can put on your handgun. Let's listen to what Jason has to say about blue.
We're at Ballistics Summit, and we are introducing the world's first reflex sight in blue. We've chosen to build a fully enclosed, super overbuilt micro red dot sight. And when I say red dot sight, I don't mean that in the way of color. I mean that in the adoption of the industry of a term for a type of optic, right? We're hoping to change that vernacular just a little bit. So lucid blue is becoming a thing. We've been illuminating our aiming points for over a decade now in blue with LED. Now there's a lot of benefits behind why blue. It gives a brighter, crisper, cleaner reticle aiming point. It has a calming effect on the mind. You can pick it up faster. It's easier to go target to target. You can actually turn down the illumination on the blue in a reflex environment, see through the reticle, and gives you a lot better target identification. Just in a simple color change, all right? That's going to be revolutionary and something we're going to be pushing really, really hard this year, moving forward. So get behind the blue.
Rob Pincus was also at the Lucid Optics Summit to bring us all up to date on the PD10. Now, you know, the PD10 took a lot of heat, but it's been out now for 7-8 months, a year, and it is selling very well. It's a very successful gun, and I asked Rob to bring us up to date with it.
So the PD10 has been out on the market for about 8 months now. We first started shipping at the end of January 2023. We're here at the Ballistics Summit, but a lot of people still haven't even heard about the PD10 and aren't quite familiar with it. What is it? It's a mid-sized gun with essentially a full-size grip that accommodates small hands. How do we do all that? It's really about the ergonomics and the sculpting. This is a black framed one. We launched with the gray frame. This is September 2023, and we're adding the black on black PD10s to the market. It's a 10-round plus one striker fired gun that's intended for people who are really going to carry the gun every day and are going to train in practice. You know, one of the things I've seen as an educator, IC Training Company, Personal Defense Network, a couple of decades, people don't always bring the gun that they carry to the classes. They don't always bring the gun that they carry to the range, even the practice, because tiny guns just aren't easy to shoot. Again, this is that mid-sized gun with a good wide grip front to back, but a very slim grip side to side, and that makes it easier to carry and helps it accommodate smaller hands. This is a 0.9-inch slide. The gun goes out to 1 inch only at the edges of the controls, the slide stop in particular, and it really does accommodate the widest plausible set of hands I think that one gun can. We've had a lot of success on the range. We have a lot of trainers using it with their students, and we've got great feedback on it. So we hope people get to check out the PD10, if not still in 2023, certainly in 2024, when we're going to be adding a long slide version and some other things, including probably a double stack on the market soon.
When Triggered returns, it is time for the one, the only Ton Jones. Welcome back to Triggered. A lot of you met my brother from another mother, Ton Jones, in our coverage for last year's Lucid Optics Summit. Ton is a force of nature. You may have seen him for 5 seasons on Spike TV's Auction Hunter. You may know him as the Research and Development Director for Air Force Airguns. You may know him as a champion airgun shooter in the Pyramid Airgun Shoot-Offs. You may know him because he handles a lot of like reptiles, mountain lions. If you find a tiger in your backyard and it's hanging out with a black mamba, Ton is who you're going to call to get it. Well, Ton was here at this year's summit to introduce a new Air Force gun and to do something incredible, to see how far out he could push a shot with a .30 caliber Air Force rifle. Let's see how that goes.
This is the first time anybody's seeing this. This year is the Mini carbon fiber bottle, 22 caliber, and for full disclosure, Tyler and I just got done sighting it in for the first time and shooting it this morning. We did not know how far we could stretch the legs on this little bad boy. And we actually stretched the legs all the way out to 300 yards this morning. No, but we actually took this out. We shot this morning, took it out to 300 yards. We didn't know it was actually going to make it. But this will be available, hopefully being debuted at SHOT Show. It is in 22 caliber, 3600 PSI fill, or 250 bar. It's going to be sold as a mini hunter, or also known as a rat sniper. We've been asked by a lot of the Fish and Wildlife, a lot of the hunters in Florida for the iguana hunts, small game hunters, a lot of the ranchers that are dealing with rat and rodent problems around the farms, to make something for small game. They don't need a lot of power. They don't need something to take down big animals. They need something that's very precise, precision, and to be able to repeat accuracy over and over again. As you're going to notice with the raw, that it is made for precision shooting out. And because I am absolutely blind and a lot of help from Jason and Tyler, we stretched his legs and hit the 600 yard target. So we're going to step it out and see how far we can take this bad boy. If we hit the white buffalo, then Sunday morning we're going to step it out and just run it as far as we can go.
Technically, white buffalo should be record.
Yes, 11:27 should be the record. Well, it would be the record with the 308 at this point. Last year, I took the 45 Texan and hit it with the Texan, shooting a 365 grain projectile. I'll be shooting 155 grain 308 this year. So, hey, if you're going to be here, you might as well have fun and do something that this gun was never made to do. So, amen. We're going to have some fun with it.
When Ton sat down at the bench, he was hopeful that he could get a good solid 1,000-yard shot shooting a 308 Air Force air rifle, 155 grain pellets. Well, they were on the ultra long distance range at Whittington, so when he got 1,000, maybe he could get 1,200, maybe he could get 1,500. In the end, Ton Jones shot that 308 air gun to a record 2,051 yards. Think about that. More than a mile with an air gun. Ton, congratulations. Absolutely brilliant thing to do. And speaking of long range shooting, by the way, just as an aside, Rob Pincus took his PD-10 and shot the white buffalo at something like 1,173 yards with 115 grain 9mm. Those guys were waiting for me to go home so they could shoot a really long way and make me feel bad. Okay, thanks to Lucid Optics, we're going to be showing you a lot more things from the Lucid Optics Summit over the next few weeks. We've got a ton of material. Thank you, Stoker, for sponsoring us for this week. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered. You can find us on michaelbain.tv. We're always free. You can find us for a while on YouTube. You can find us on X, that used to be Twitter. You can find us on Rumble, but definitely find us and start practicing up on your air guns.
The E7, right? The world's first reflex sight in blue. Before we get to that, Mr. Bain, I need to find out what you did with my P8 from SHOT Show.
I sold it. I got a good deal.
Outstanding. That's all I needed to know.
It worked out really better than most people would imagine.
Yep. Pump it. Oh, yeah. Well, sorry.
That's okay.
I get you?
Almost.
Sorry.
That's going to be perfect when you do it this time.